Houston, we have a problem. Today's show isn't exactly going to go as expected. We'll get into that in just a moment. Let's let the crowds roll in. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. It is a Friday. It's a lovely Friday. Let's let the crowds roll in. I see Jess is already here in the live chat. Good morning. So glad jury duty got canceled. Look at that. So you can watch live today. Well, congratulations. I love macro photography. Awesome. I live small rural county, so they I live small rural county, so they tell you the night before if they need you or not. Oh, sweet. Nice. Well, that's supposed to happen everywhere. You find out 5 o'clock the night before whether you're going to have to go or not. You might still get there and then go through the whole process and then get out of it. But anyway, that's the way it is. And happy St. Patrick's Day to all y'all too. Let's see here. Ahmet, good morning. Once again from Northern Cyprus. There you are, still there, mate. Excellent, excellent. Very good to see that. And it's a slow morning today. It must be cold or something outside because hardly anybody's rolling in, but that's okay. That's okay. We're going to do the show anyway. It turns out, well, we're not actually going to do the show. We are not actually going to do the show. Floris, good morning from the Netherlands. Excellent. Good to see you here. Oh, here we go. Now the numbers are coming up. Just got to give that whole YouTube thing a chance to catch up there. Super. So, yeah, I had a problem this morning and we can't really do the show the way I intended it to. Zachary, good morning. Good morning. Oh, I suppose I should start recording over here as well. Got a little backup going. All right, let's just get into this because this is a comedy of errors. Ahmed, good morning to you too. I've been wondering for this like a week. Oh wait, you said you've been wondering for a week how come I don't shoot with Olympus Pro lenses or an EM1 Mark II. Well, I'm sponsored by Panasonic. That's why I shoot with Panasonic gear. So there you go. Nothing against the Olympus gear. It's fantastic. I actually started on Olympus, but then I transitioned to Panasonic because I found I was buying more Panasonic lenses than Olympus lenses, and eventually decided to try the Panasonic bodies, and the rest is history. So there you go. And no, I cannot do a comparison of the GH5 versus the EM2 or EM1 or any other EM because I don't do camera comparisons because that is not my bailiwick. I do stuff with these guys. I'll talk about feature comparisons, but I'm not going to do side-by-sides of any cameras. That I leave to other YouTubers. Okay, good morning. Audio isn't in sync. That must be you guys because it should be, yeah, it's definitely in sync here. All right, folks, let's get into this. Good morning and welcome to PhotoJoseph's Photo Moment, first live daily photo show on the YouTubes every weekday, 9:30 a.m. Pacific. If you're not watching live, you should be. Tune in if you can. It's fun to participate in the chat as all these lovely folks here are, like Jess and Ahmet and Floris and Zachary and Jim and ACS Janja. I love names that aren't actual names. It's like, it's a guess for me of how I'm supposed to say it. Is it like AX? Is it ACS? I have no idea. Floris, good morning to you. Oops, wrong mouse. What did we miss at the top? I think we got everybody. Okay, so here was the plan, and here's what's not going to happen. So the plan was to do macro photography with extension tubes. These are really, really cool. Extension tubes are awesome. So here's the idea behind an extension tube. A lens, any lens, attached to your camera, let's use this one here. Attached to your camera body has a minimum focal length, right? I mean, this is focal distance. This is normal. This is, obviously. If you take the lens off and you move it farther away from the body, you can decrease that minimum focusing distance by quite a lot, to the point where if you move it far enough away, you actually can't focus on anything because the minimum focus distance is actually inside the lens. I actually was playing with this once. I couldn't figure out what I was focusing on. What the heck is that focusing on? I realized I was focusing on the inside of the lens. Crazy, right? So the distance that you put between the lens and the body will depend on the lens itself. Hence, when you buy things like extension tubes, you get a set of them. Now, an extension tube, all it is, you see, there's not a lens. It's a tube. Literally, it's like bracelets for small children. These allow you to put distance between the lens and the body without allowing light to get in. Obviously, if I just do this, then your hand gets stuck. If I just do this, then all kinds of light gets in. We're not going to have a good photo. We need to black this out, and not like kind of black it out, not, put a shadow over it, but really, really black it out. Hence what these things are. So the way that these come is you have multiple parts. You have a end that connects to the camera. So there's that camera bayonet. You have an end that connects to the lens, and then you have tubes that go in between. And you can just put the two ends together. That'll be your closest. And then like this particular set is, let's see, this one's got a 7mm. Let's do a little close up here. So let's see, we've got a I'm probably not gonna be able to read that. Let's see, will it focus on there? Trying something new with the focusing thing here. Come on. Nope, not gonna do it. Anyway, there's a 7mm, there's a 14mm, that kind of ish in focus, and then a, what is this thing? 28mm. Let's see if I can force this thing to focus on this. Come on, you dude. Come on, be useful to me. There we go. There we go, a little 28mm. So you have these ones, and you can stack these together, right? I can put these two together, and now what was that? What did I say that was? 14? So there you go, so 14 plus 28, so that's 42, and then you can add another 7 on there. So you can get quite a bit of distance going on all at once, which is really, really, really cool. So all you do is you grab whatever lens you got, take these things, stack them together, figure out which combination works, and you're in business. And that's really all there is to it. Here's my lens body bayonet. Here's the 3 tubes, and there's a piece missing. The piece that's missing is the one that attaches to the lens, and there's a reason it's missing. It's stuck. It's stuck to one of my lenses. So here's how do I want to tell, what order do I want to tell this story in? This is one of my favorite lenses. This is my Zhongyi lens. This is the 25mm f/0.95 lens, all manual, right? Love this lens. And so I connected it to here, and it was working beautifully, but I can't get it off. And in the process of trying to get it off, I appear to have broken my lens. Like, there's a piece in here that is now loose that absolutely positively should not be. Basically, you know, like any camera lens body combination, they lock together. You push a button that releases a pin, the pin releases, and you can spin it off. So this has the same thing, right? There's a pin, release the pin, spin it off. But when you release the pin and spin it off, it was hitting something else. So it's like the pin wouldn't go up far enough. I know that the back of this lens is somewhat different than the back of every other Lumix lens. Not the mount itself, but the flange, I think that's what it's called, is longer. And I guess that has been the problem. So I can't get it off. And in trying to get it off, I believe I separated something inside of the lens itself. So now I'm really disappointed, because now I have to send this thing off, and hopefully they'll fix it and won't tell me it's going to cost as much as a new one, because I really, really love this lens, and now I'm pissed because I don't have it. So what this means is I can't do this. Now I'm going to try and do it with this lens, but it may not, because it's all wobbly, and we're going to give it a try anyway. But before we get into that, let's talk about some of the challenges that you'll have doing this with any mirrorless setup. Okay, so before we do that, let's just quick look at the comments here. Anything coming through? Sully, good morning. You didn't get a notification I went live. Shame on YouTube. Novak's excited about macro. Yeah. And Jim is saying how embarrassing. Is it embarrassing for you? It's definitely not embarrassing for me. I even got this cool, look at this thing. I found this really cool chunk of mushroom thing growing outside of my house that I brought in. Let me get a bigger one here. So that we could photograph this up close, and now we're not going to get to. I mean, we'll still look at, we'll like put a regular macro lens on it. Why not? May as well. We're here. But yeah, super, super bummer. So here's why I was even bothering with this mechanical lens. Now, this is still going to be a very educational part of this whole video for those who want to do extension tube photography with mirrorless cameras. And this, I believe, yeah, this does apply to all mirrorless cameras, because when I first figured this out, I had a friend who is a Fuji shooter test it out for me, verified it's the same there. These cameras and lenses the lenses are drive-by-wire, which means if you, well, these don't have aperture rings on them, first of all, so you can't, aperture ring. Now, some of them do, right? Like the one that's on there right now, on that camera, the B camera, is the Nocticorn lens. That actually has a mechanical aperture ring. And I think, so this is the 15 Leica. Let me see, I think this one has the ring as well. Oh yeah, even with a mechanical ring, even if it has a mechanical ring, if you take the lens off the body and you spin the aperture, it doesn't change, right? So if I go here, let's do this so that you can actually see through here. There we go. Look at that, it focused. As I am changing the ring, you're not seeing the aperture open and close. Unlike a mechanical one, purely mechanical one, you see the aperture open and close on there, right? So, okay, why does this matter for this? Well, in macro photography, you have very, very shallow depth of field. So you very rarely are going to shoot wide open. You're probably going to stop it down at least halfway. Let's say halfway of what your lens does. So if it goes from f2.8 to f16, maybe you're going to stop it down to 11 or somewhere around there, whatever. But with these lenses, And this type of extension ring, you can't. Now, these extension rings here are the cheapest type that you can buy. These are what I would call a dumb ring. They have no electronic contacts, no feedback, no information is passed through to the lens. You can buy higher end extension tubes that do have the electronic contacts and will pass data through to the lens, which would allow you to control the aperture, control focus, whatever else your lens can control from the camera like you normally would. These do not. So that means that when you put the lens onto the extension ring, you're using it in its kind of default state, a default focus position as well as a default aperture. Well, the default aperture is wide open, so that poses a problem for this super, super close-up macro photography because you end up with a depth of field that's probably a fraction of a millimeter. It's basically untenable. It's really too hard to work that way. So you need to work around that. So I have a workaround for you. It's pretty cool, actually, and it works. We've tested this. I wrote an article a while ago on this, and we tested it on Olympus, Lumix, of course, and Fuji bodies, and it worked the same all the way across. So I'm going to show you how to stop down the aperture ring on a drive-by-wire lens for this purpose. So that's the first thing we're going to do. So let me scroll back through the comments here real quick. See what's going on. So this is the easiest way to get those off. Use another filter screw on it, and then you should be able to, with pressure, get it off. Or use Vaseline. It's on here. This is the part that's stuck. So it's this right here. Let me go back up close here. So this button here. Sorry, I gotta get it. Let me move this a little bit. There we go. I think that's better. Okay, this here. No, that sucks. Sorry. One of these days I will. No, I'm gonna say that until I cancel the show. That one of these days. So here, this little button there. There's my release, right? I lift that up and it should twist off, right? Just like imagine that's the body. Lift this up and it peels off. The problem is that it's stuck, not screwed tight stuck, but it's stuck because this pin isn't going up far enough. Which I don't think it's the tube's problem. I think it's something different about this lens versus an actual Lumix lens. I took out this thread and I took a little I don't know, spike, put it in there to try and push the pin up farther, see if I can get it farther up there, but I just couldn't do it. And in trying to do it, I was sticking things in here and I something came loose. So that shouldn't be wiggling like that, but it is. So that's the problem that I have. So I don't think any amount of Vaseline or WD-40 or any of those squishy stuff is going to help me out here. Let's see here. Other comments came through. Northwest Wedding Videos asking, can you live stream with the GH5 without need of a capture card? Absolutely not. You still need some device something to actually convert the stream out. So you can do HDMI into something like a VidiU or there's a bunch of other little portable streaming devices. You absolutely can do that, but you have to go from this to something. This doesn't have the broadcast capability or anything like that, nor through the app. Okay, Novak saying I have a Tokina 100mm full frame, I guess, lens, planning to use it with the Olympus. Am I right in thinking it's equivalent to 200mm in that combo? Yeah, right, exactly. If you can do the conversion, get it onto there, then yes, that's exactly what will happen. So what's the point of the extension tube? So the extension tube, Zachary, in case you missed it, is so you can put distance between your body and your lens, but of course block out all the light. The farther the lens moves away, the closer it can focus. But it's not a case of moving it as far away as you want, because you will achieve a point where focus is inside of the lens. So you have to find the right combination of distance for the lens that you're using. Longer lenses need more distance, or can use more distance. Shorter lenses need shorter distance. All right, let's see here. What else? Novak saying also will be clear as a native MFT lens like the 60mm. I don't know. I have never used a third-party lens like that on a Micro Four Thirds. Sorry. Let's see here. All right. So there we go. So let's talk about this whole thing of how we get the aperture to close down. So let me demonstrate this, kind of what actually happens. Let me clear some crap out of the way here. I'm going to come back to you later. All right, let's see how do I want to show this to you? Let's see if I look. Let's start by looking at focus. Let's look through this camera. So this is the GH5 here we're looking at. I'm going to put up my little mushroom thing on here and focus this, and I'm going to go. I'm in manual focus mode, and I'm going to spin the ring, spin the ring, spin the ring, spin the ring, all the way to the closest focus distance, and there we go. So you can see on the display there, it shows I am. Well, let's go all the way to closest. There's closest focus distance. Okay, we'll move that so it's actually sharp. There we go. So that's the closest focus distance of this setup here. So you can see what that rough distance would be there. Okay. Now, oh, and there now we're not zoomed in. So that was zoomed in because of focus. So you're thinking, yay, macro, look, that's great, but it isn't. Just give it a moment and it goes back to that's the actual closest focusing. Okay, that's fine. So notice where the lens is, where the focus point is, right? I'm going to now take the lens off the body. Okay, and now I'm going to put it back on the body and give it a moment to think up. And look at where the focus is. It's gone back to its default position just below that red. I never did find out what this red actually means. I got to look that up. But basically, the lens goes there. That's its default position. So if I was to put it here, take the lens off, put it back on, and result is back in that default position. So you can't control the focus position of the lens of these drive-by-wire lenses when it's off without some kind of control. There's really nothing you can do about that. But the good news is that you generally want it to be far out for this macro extension tube thing for it to work. So that part isn't a problem. But what is a problem is the aperture. As I was explaining, if the aperture is wide open, you're going to have such a microscopic depth of field that it's going to be too hard to shoot with. So you need to stop the lens down. So here's what you got to do. You trick it. You put the camera into manual exposure mode, and we'll look through it through here. You put the camera into manual exposure mode. You choose the aperture that you want. I'm going to go with f11. You choose a long shutter speed, a few seconds, long enough so that when you push the button to take the picture, and this is not a real photo, this is just a setup photo, push the button to fire the shutter, then take the lens off while the shutter is open. The shutter will immediately close. The camera's going to go, uh-oh, no lens, and shut down. But the lens will basically be stuck in this position of f11 or wherever you put it. And then you can put it onto your extension tube, and because there's no electronic contact on the dumb extension tube. Now, remember I said you can buy extension tubes that have the electronics. We're talking the cheapest ones you can get here, the dumb ones. When you put it on there, the lens doesn't know that it's attached to anything, so it has no electronic contact, so the aperture stays closed. Cool, right? So let's look at it in practice. If I, just to prove the point, let's see here. We are currently at f11 on here, so you see that on there. So it says f11 down on the bottom. f11, if I change it, you can see there's the number that's changing, right? So we're going to set it to f11. Okay. If I take the lens off, well, we all know, I mean, okay, you know, f11, you know, we're going to stop it all the way down just to really show it. There's f16, stopped all the way down. If I take the lens off, and let's go to this camera here, and we look through this, you can see, there you go. You can see that we are looking through the lens, right? There's definitely no closed down aperture on there. But that's the problem, right? And if I put this back on, of course, it'll immediately go back to f11, but that's because that's what's stored in the camera. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and, well, in this case 16, I'm going to put it at 11 because that's where I want it. And I'm going to set a, oops, go into manual exposure there. So f11, and you see I got a nice long exposure, 5 seconds, 4 seconds, whatever. Plenty of time for me to get this off. So I take the picture, open this up, take the lens off. So I just took the lens off while the shutter was open. And now, if you look, let's get that back into view. There you go. You can see that the aperture is closed down. See that? So now I can put this on my extension tubes and off I go. I've got my f11. So because of this challenge, I thought, ooh, I know. I've got this all mechanical lens. I'll put it on here. And the rest of that story you've already heard. So that's how you stop down the aperture so that you can use these mechanical tubes. And it worked great. I've never had a problem with these mechanical tubes on my Lumix lenses. I didn't have a problem until I put it onto my Zhongyi lens. So do not do this combination. I will obviously update you as time permits as I get this lens back, hopefully, to let you know what happened. So, but let's try, since we've got this set up, let's go ahead and try. I have no idea, like I said, this thing has gone all wobbly on me, so we may not be able to get an even sharp picture, but we're going to try it anyway. So I'm going to put this on. Okay, so there's my little combination. I put in the 7mm tube. I don't know if that's right, but I think it'll work. Let's put this thing on the camera. God, I've never, oh my God, the lens is wobbly. Look at that. Look at this wobbly lens. This is very sad. Look, lenses aren't supposed to do that. Yeah, I'm screwed. Oh, well, whatever. All right, so let's see. Let's go through this lens and let's see how close I can focus. See, I'm stopped down oh, let me go into aperture priority so it picks the right exposure. Whoa, look at that. Look at that. Look at how cool that is. Let me show how close this is. Let's go to this view. Look at how close that is. Isn't that neat? That's where this gets really cool. So now let's go and set this thing down. I'm going to go to this view while I mess with this and try and get it set up so it's an actual thing you can see without me bouncing my hands around. And get that up nice and close. Super, super close. Actually, it was more cool when it was this way. There's not enough light. Oh, there we go. There's a nice angle. Okay, let's switch through this view, and you can see, whoops, good job, as I move that in. That's pretty cool, right? Oops, it's going to fall over. Is that going to stay up? I think that'll stay up. There we go. There we go. So check that out. So now I can do my finite focus. So now I can talk about this other funky tool that I've got on here. This thing here. This, I'm not going to mess up my shot, but I want to show this to you. This guy here, this thing is called a micrometric positioning plate. This one is the Manfrotto, what does that say? 454. I've already linked to this below in the show notes, so if you want to get one of these things. And what this does is it allows you to move your lens position. Let me try and get this a little bit better here. Let me lock this in. Actually, here, let me spin it around so you can see. This side of it allows you to move your lens position by moving these screw here. So you've got a big screw on here that you can twist, and you can see quite on here, it's these, I mean, you can kind of see, really tight thread count there. So as I turn it, it is moving the camera tiny, 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 tiny amounts. So let me lock this into place, kind of give you a, so you can see how little the camera is moving as I twist that. So that allows me to move the camera very, very precisely. You have a release latch here so that I can quickly move the camera if I want to. Okay, and then you've got this guy here which will lock it in so that it can't move. So I'm going to put that back there, spin this guy around so that I can actually work with it. And you'll also notice on here, and we point this back at the camera so you can see this. I think you can see that. There's numbers on there. Those are millimeters. And so you can look at the edge here where it lines up, and you can move it, precisely if you want to move it 0.5 millimeter at a time or 2 millimeters at a time or whatever it is you're doing, so you can do that. So why would you want to have that level of precision of moving it? Other than obviously focusing it, right? If I want to focus on a specific point, very handy to be able to move the camera super, super gently to be able to get that thing in focus. The reason you would probably want to do this in increments, 1 millimeter, 0.5 millimeter, 4 millimeters at a time, whatever, is for focus stacking, right? If you do a shot and your depth of field, even at f16 or 11 or whatever, is 2 millimeters, then you probably want to move 1 millimeter forward and shoot again and again and again, and then you can focus stack them. We'll do focus stacking another day. Focus stacking is really, really cool. I was thinking about doing that today with this, but it'd take too long to get the card. Anyway, we'll do that a whole separate day. And besides, I obviously can't do the pictures. But that's what this micrometric positioning plate does for us. Pretty cool stuff. So, okay, now that I've explained that, let's go back to the camera view and take a look at the Funky Mushroom. So, I think that's the name of a band, the Funky Mushroom. Let's get this close enough, get this roughly in focus, switch back to this view. And so now that I've got that, now I'm moving twisting the screw on here, and you can see how gently that moves through. So I could go in and got a hair in there. I could go through here and fire a shot like that, and then move it a tiny bit, fire another shot, tiny bit. The sparklies you're seeing, by the way, is focus peaking. That's been enabled. That's why you're seeing that there. Focus peaking in dark areas like that, it's obviously it's not really sure what it's reaching on, but let's see, I should probably choose a different color for the focus peaking. Let's see here, where is that? I think it's, here we go, peaking set. Let's go for a blue color here. Might be a little easier to see. There we go. Yellow against the yellow mushroom is probably not good. So now you can see a little bit more easily what is in focus on there. Pretty cool stuff, right? Look at that, isn't that neat? So you just go through there, get your shot exactly as you want it, and of course if you're going to focus stack them, rack through. And look at how close this thing is. I mean, this is so, look at this thing. It's like practically touching it. That is just awesome. That is really, really cool. I love this. I love it. It's too bad I can't actually do it with another lens. All right, other comments came through. Sean Mark Nimper, welcome. Wait, start over. Yeah, sure thing. Yeah, you can rewind, can't you? That's right, you can go back to the beginning, but then you're not watching it live. I hope that's not a poisonous mushroom too, Novak. This thing showed up outside of my door one day. We had this, it's Oregon, it's rainy, wet, right? This big old dead log, and they just started growing on us. Really pretty, and I thought, oh, I'm going to take that log in this morning to do this for, and to do the demo. And I went to pick up the log and I realized it's about the size of this desk. Thought, oh, it's not such a good idea. So I took an axe to it. It was all very manly this morning. Cut that thing up a little bit into pieces, and here we go. Maybe I should take an axe to this, see if I can get that to work. Let's see what else is going on here. Novak says, maybe it's a magic mushroom. Well, it could be that too. Maybe that's what's the problem going on here today. Camera will grow from the mushroom. That could absolutely happen. Where did I get the plate, Sully? I probably bought it on Amazon or B&H. I linked to it below. The link is there for Amazon, B&H, and for Adorama. Just, so you can get it wherever you like. And yeah, nice for making a video. Yeah, I mean, if you wanted to do, you could do a super slow pull, but you'd have to kind of keep on twisting it like so. I don't know. I wouldn't do that. Even as I'm doing this, if I'm going to go back to this view, there's camera movement in there that would not make for an attractive focus pull. So I wouldn't try and do that for video. But if you're trying to do a video macro close-up of this thing here, man, I don't know, maybe you're watching little tiny creepy crawlies crawl around in there. That could be kind of cool. Hey, whatever floats your boat. Okay, please do a video on focus, stacking, and bracketing. Okay, I'll do it. Why not? All right. Well, that's kind of it. I'm so unhappy about this stuck thing. At least this worked. At least I could show it to you with this lens. And you know what? Here, I can't. I was thinking I would put just this lens on so I could show you how close that lens can get, but I can't because the ring is stuck to it. If you're going to do this, don't use your Zhongyi lens for now obvious reasons. I don't know the price difference between the dumb rings, which are really cheap, to the ones that have the control. Obviously, it's going to be a lot easier if you get the one with electric contacts. I don't think it's really that much more expensive, so it's probably worth doing it. When I first bought these, I just kind of went for the cheapest thing just to play with it, and like I said, it's fun. It is cool to do. It just takes a little bit of extra work with these drive-by-wire lenses. Let's see what else is going on here. What time do I get up? 5. John Clark, I use a clear plastic ruler to find the optimum zoom point within the 14 to 140 and 26 millimeter macro extension tubes to get 1:1. 17 millimeter filling the frame is 1:1. Blink, blink. Awesome. 1:1, you're talking 1:1 on the sensor, I assume. Yeah? That would make sense. Yeah, of course it would. That's cool. Good. Yeah, there's all kinds of tricks to this stuff. Getting macro is a whole other world. In fact, before I forget, I did a course on lynda.com. It's a couple years ago now, but it's called Macros and Close-Ups. It is a kind of introduction into semi-advanced macros and close-ups. I don't think we do extension tubes in there, but it's a really fun course. That's Bob the Beetle there. Bob is a beautiful model for us. If you can just go to Lynda and search for macros and PhotoJoseph and you'll find it, or photojoseph.com/LyndaMacro will take you right there. And don't forget about the 10-day free trial if you're not already a Lynda member, photojoseph.com/Lynda, so you can check that out there as well. But that's a fun course. I really, really enjoyed doing that course. That was a blast to shoot. Really enjoyed that one. Let's see here. Martin saying, did I miss someone breaking a lens? Yes, I did. I broke a lens. You're going to have to go back up to see what happened. Let's see here. Novak, Joseph, please consider a side business where you could possibly sell some items you review. I'd love that bracket. Well, that's the affiliate stuff. I'm not going to get into the actual reselling business, but affiliates. If you want to buy it, scroll down, affiliate link. I'll make a nickel, and those nickels add up. Thank you though. And let's see here. Maybe the focus pull shot needs some post stabilization. Yeah, well, you could do that too. Or honestly, if I was going to do a focus pull on this, I would get out my handy dandy Slider 1 motorized guy and just set a really slow focus pull and let it pull back. That's what I would do. I wouldn't try to do it manually. Trying to do anything moving like that manually, unless you've got like a fluid head, right? Where fluid head is designed to be moved while you're shooting. This is not designed to be moved while you're shooting. It is not smooth at all. Even if you grease this up a bit, it wouldn't be smooth. It's just too much bounce in it. It's just not, it wouldn't do it. Can I recommend a Lumix lens that would work work well with extension tubes? Well, I don't think any of them won't work. It's just a case of the tubes that you put in. Let me pull up an article here. I want you guys to go check out this article. We will put a link to this in the show notes. Let me get this nice and big on the screen here. Here we go. This is Skip Cohen University. Skip Cohen is a super awesome dude in the world of photography, former CEO of Hasselblad. He runs this website now called Skip Cohen University, and he has all kinds of articles on here, and I've posted a few things like this. This goes back to 2014, so this is a while ago. But I wrote an article called Macro Photography Dumb Extension Tubes in the Mirrorless Challenge, and this is all about what I just explained here about having to take off the tubes, to set the lens to a low aperture, take it off while it's open to stick the aperture halfway closed. That's what this article is primarily about. So do go check out this article. But here's a quick little sample. So with the 35 to 100 zoom lens, so your 70 to 200 equivalent, that's the closest focus possible on its own. But then you get into the tubes and suddenly, kaboom, look at what you can do. Now this talks about how the depth of field is so shallow, it can be really hard to focus accurately. Then we get into the whole aperture thing, and there's a little setup of what that looked like altogether. So this does work quite well. It's kind of a fun article, actually. And there's something with it stop down, little hair notwithstanding. So this is that f5.6. So shrunk the aperture using that little tip that I just shared with you. And this is, it's that all the way down to f22. So there you go, f22. Crazy, crazy close focus. And this is, you can see this, you can see the size of the plant and the size of the little traps on there. This is a Venus flytrap. So there you go. Pretty, look, that one's actually caught a fly right there. Excellent. So do check that out. Skip Cohen University. We'll put a link to this actual post in there because it's a long one. But Skip Cohen University, if you go there now and you just search for PhotoJoseph or Joseph and extension tube or something, you'll find it. You'll find it there. So there's that. All right. So that's what the question was. Can I recommend a lens? So it works with, the 70 to 200. You just have to put more of the tubes in there. I know that it works with this 50 millimeter lens just fine because I was doing that before I got clever and put this on there. Now, what happens if you put it onto a macro lens? I don't know. That's a really good question. I never tried that. No one asked that. It was a rhetorical question, but I'm asking it. I haven't actually tried it. I don't know if, because macro lenses obviously focus really close to begin with, you probably would very quickly get to a point where it's impossible to focus because focus is behind the lens. Let's do one more thing. I want to do a comparison to see the closest focus of this with this tube versus the macro. So let's see here. We're basically right up against the lens on there, right? You've seen this up here. We are, get a little bit closer onto that, or zoom into that a little bit. There we go. Looking good on there. So this is virtually touching the lens. This is gonna be really hard to line up. I need a ruler to do this properly. Hey, Ryan, bring me your ruler, please. Let's do it. Let's do it with a ruler. We're going to do this properly. I'm going to set up a ruler, see how close we get on here, and then switch over to, this is a semi-similar focal length. Thank you, sir. Mm-hmm. This is a 30 millimeter lens. This is a 25. So we'll get pretty close. Pretty close. All right, let's do this the mechanical way. All right, so we're going to measure this in millimeters. Actually, could I focus this lens even closer? Jiminy, that is close. Should have brought some more light in here. Thought about that, and then I spent 45 minutes trying to get the back of that lens off of my lens, so it didn't really work. All right, so we've got, let's go to that line. So we have a width of, what is that, 17 millimeters. We're going to call that 17 millimeters, and if I put this out at the farthest focusing distance, how much of a difference does that make? Come on, line up, line up. Not a huge difference. What is that? We'll call that 19 millimeters. Almost 20 millimeters, almost 2 centimeters width. We're going to go, okay, so 17 was the closest one. Oh, well, you weren't looking at that. Sorry, here, you probably wanted to see that. Let's see here. So this is what I was doing. Sorry, I thought I had switched to this view. So this is with the camera set to infinity. If I line up one edge there, that's pretty close. So we're calling that, God, that's not in focus. Come on. Come on. Where are you? This is hard to do. There we go. That's better. Move it over a little bit. And, okay, so 17, we're going to call that 19 millimeters to 20 millimeters width at infinite focus. If I focus the lens down to its closest focus point, then, like I said before, it was about 17. So, come on. There we go. That's pretty good. Move that over. Man, I really need some more light on here so I can actually see what I'm doing. Trying to angle this flat against the lens while looking at the LCD. There we go. 17. We're going to call that 17 millimeters. Okay? Close enough, right? Just buy it. 17 millimeters, close enough. Okay. What was it? Oh, yeah. I forgot what I was doing. So now let's see what I get with the 30 mil macro, which is not a terribly expensive lens to begin with. So, if you're serious about macro, buy a macro lens. But extension tubes give you a whole different world, whole different thing you can do. Okay, let's set this into manual focus. Set this to the closest focusing distance. long focus pull on there. And, okay, I'm going to do this again. See, I kind of have to hold this up, don't I? All right, let's see here. Can we get that? I'll switch over to this view momentarily. Okay, here we go. Switch over to this view. And it's actually ever so slightly closer, 16 millimeter at its closest. So that's interesting. So you're getting basically, and remember this is a 30 mil versus 25, so there's a little difference there, but you're basically getting the same closest focusing distance with this macro lens versus, where'd it go? My 50 mil lens that are 25 mil, 50 mil equivalent lens that I already had with the cheap extension tubes. So it is a very inexpensive way to get into macro photography. Definitely cheaper than a macro lens. Yeah, it's kind of fun. And I think especially if you're working with longer lenses, like I have I have two macros. There's two macros on the Lumix lineup. There's this 30 and a 45 millimeter, so 60 and a 90 mil equivalent. And that's it, right? So if you wanted a 200 mil macro, there isn't one. Hence, use the longer lens, the 35 to 100 lens with the extension tubes, and off you go. So that should work, right? That totally works. All right, let's take another look at the comments, and then we're gonna bail out of here. Let's see here, anything else come up? People just saying how cool this is. I agree, it is cool. Novak's asking, just curious about magnification lenses compared to extension tubes. You're talking about filters that you put over the front of them? I have not played with them. You're adding extra glass, so in general, you are going to be losing quality just because you're adding extra glass. My very limited experience with those is they tend to add distortion or softness around the edges. They're never that good around the edges, only in the center. And I guess I'll leave it at that. Not to say it's a bad thing, it's just a different way of doing it. I think you'd be better. They gotta be more expensive than tubes because they have to have optimized glass in them. The tube is just, right, it's pass through. So I'd go with this. That'd be my vote. Okay, I think that's it. We're gonna do this. Hey, Monday, I have a plan. I don't know if this yet is a good idea or a bad idea, but we're gonna find out. I'm getting a lot of questions showing up on a lot of questions in the comments on all these YouTube videos, which is awesome. I love it. It can take a lot of time to answer this, and I want to answer all these questions, at least the really good complicated ones, the ones that someone can't find out just by Googling it. But it's taking too much time. So I thought what I would do is I would dedicate one show a week, and that would probably be Monday because that's just makes sense. The Monday show to answering some of those questions. So what I think I'll do, I'm sure I'm going to play with the format, but my idea is that I will create the event early in the week. Like if it was Monday now, I'd create it for next Monday. So I've got a URL, right? So I know what the URL is. And then whenever I see a question that I want to answer in the show, I'll just paste in a boilerplate thing that says, look at this, watch this video for the answer to your question. And so if you click on it and before the show, it's just going to say, hey, the show's happening in 5 days or whatever. So you got to wait. And obviously if you're looking at it afterwards, then the show will be there. But then this way I can answer these questions live, which means I can go into a lot more detail than I can if I'm typing them or answering them on my phone, which is normally how I've been doing this. And I think this will work. We're going to find, like I said, it might be a good idea. It might be a terrible idea. It might turn out that it turns into a 3-hour show, which nobody wants. But we'll figure it out. So that's what we're going to do on Monday. I'm going to go back. I haven't added that link yet to any of the previous questions, so I will today or over the weekend. I'll go through the questions that I haven't yet answered that I keep pushing off, going, I'll answer that when I have more time. I'll answer that when I have more time. That's going to happen Monday. So if you've got an outstanding, big, long question in the comments, that is probably what's going to happen to it. If it was a question that took more than a few lines to answer, odds are I've been delaying answering it until I had more time. This is what's going to happen. Look for a URL that will pop up as a response to your question, and that's how I'm going to answer it. Hope you guys like that idea. Hey, also don't forget the whole what do you call it? Patreon thing. A few of you are contributors there. I super appreciate that. Or we haven't tried it yet, but hey, anybody could be first. There is this super chat idea. I should have said this in the beginning of the show, but there's this super chat thing. It's enabled. Let's try it out. If you feel like you love this show, you want to throw a buck at me, then click that little $sign down on the chat window. Do whatever it tells you to do. And then you get like a big box around your chat. I don't know. I don't really know how it works. No one's done it yet. I think that only works during live, which really doesn't help the whole monetization long-term program. But it's one of the many options. Obviously, if you're going to buy anything, please use the links below. If you're buying a GH5, please use the links below. Ooh, speaking of the GH5, I want to see what the results were for that poll. Last I looked, it was a few days ago. It was right after we did it, actually. So I want to share the results with you of that so far. The poll being the one where I asked, GH5, not going to buy, thinking about buying, going to buy, or already bought. And the responses were pretty cool. Let me see here. There's the video. Let me open this and
stop right there.
And stop right there. Okay, that was an ad. And let's see here. Go to my cards. Wait, where's the cards? There we go. Cards. And shush, God, stop it. And poll. Here we go. Here's the poll. All right. Pretty cool. Let's look at these results here. Are you buying a GH5? Already bought it. 50% of you already ordered. Another 30% plan to order. Only 14% on the fence and 4% not me. That's pretty cool. Look at that. Look at all them GH5s that people are buying. Now, granted, a poll was on a video about the GH5, so it's probably a little bit biased of a poll, but it's still kind of fun to see. Okay. Great. Hey, you guys like the idea of me doing the comments on the, answering the comments on the chat, on the video thing, on the, whatever this thing's called, the show. So that's cool. We'll give that a try, see how it goes. Okay, guys, enjoy your weekend. I hope this has been an educational show, especially the part about don't put this thing on this lens. What are you gonna do? Alrighty, we'll see you next time. Take care of yourselves. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.